Good morning, boys and girls and mom. It's late February. It's a Friday morning. I'm skipping work to go fishing, which I'm blessed to be able to do. Got a really pretty day today. It's 51. It's been warm all week. Going to get into the 60s today. I got shorts on under my warm-ups. And you know, the other day when I flipped the coin, I went to Bodark. Today there was no coin involved. I just decided last night when figured out I could fish today. You know, you got to talk about everybody's meetings and appointments and school and soccer practice, but I'm going to Texoma, which Sarah said I hate, but I love. I truly have a love-hate relationship with this lake. I've had some great days. The year I won the BFL Angler of the Year, the last tournament was on Texoma, and I think I finished third. I came into that tournament in second place for Angler of the Year. Had a great tournament, finished third, and won Angler of the Year for the BFL Cowboy Division on Texoma. So I got some fond memories, but we also got some huge disappointments up here. We had a regional up here that I fished. Oh gosh, it's been 10 years ago. I put out 37 brush piles. I'll never forget this. And in the month leading up to the tournament, the water just fell out of the lake. I went out and I moved a bunch of those brush piles, you know, wading out chest deep, moving brush piles. And the day before the tournament, I think I flipped on 5 brush piles and had 4 bites. And tournament day, I caught 1 fish out of those brush piles. I had put so much time and effort, just flat work into that tournament, and wound up absolutely bombing it. And that's Texoma, right? I mean, literally 20-something pounds one day and 2 pounds the next. But should have it mostly to ourselves today, other than probably some sand bass and striper fishermen. So I'd love to catch a smallmouth. Actually, I'd love to catch a big smallmouth. If any of you guys watch Tyler's Real Fishing, Tyler and I are friends. He actually helped me kind of get my channel going several years ago, back during COVID. It was really key in kind of coaching me on some stuff to do. But when I told him my largest smallmouth ever was 315, he started laughing at me. And it was in Texoma. I could take you to the rock I caught that fish off of. But I just haven't been up north much to fish. I've gotten to fish what's the one right there outside of Detroit? St. Clair once. Is that right? St. Clair? Anyway, it caught a whole bunch of smallmouth and didn't catch a big one. So I'm always hoping to catch a 4+ pounder. I'd love to catch a 5+ pounder. Maybe someday I'll get up north and do that. But for now, we're going to try it on Texoma. So, and by the way, somebody asked me the other day, which is a better smallmouth lake, Texoma or Whitney? And I don't know the answer to that. I think they get fished for more at Whitney, but I know there's several guys at Whitney that exclusively fish for them at night. So I don't know the answer to that. If somebody knows where there's more consistent smallmouth fishing, please throw a comment below, because I'd love to answer that question for the guy that asked it. So anyway, that's where we're headed, and hopefully we have a fun day and catch some fish. So here we go, boys, girls, mom. All right, well, that's not nothing. Spot choked it. He said, give me some. You know, you guys tell me, he may be a... He swallowed it. very odd coloration. He may not be all largemouth. He's certainly not all smallmouth, but I could be wrong. He may just be a straight up large. He's a keeper. Man, shoot, he's 15 inches. So, started on the main lake. I've been out here about 45 minutes. Main lake water temperature is 44, and not seeing anything. The water's low, it appears. I didn't check the water level, but it looks like it's a couple feet low, because some of the stuff I like to fish on the main lake is up out of the water. And so I came back here, got on this pocket, and just started scoping down the bank, and that fish was out in about 12 feet of water. And I had thrown across a few. There's a big pot of bait right back there, and there were 2 or 3 fish hanging around it, and nothing would move on it. And that's the first one that I saw that when I threw over there, it moved on it, and I let it fall to the bottom, and then when I picked it up, she thumped it, or he thumped it. So, and that's on that little tiny 2.8 inch 6-cent swim bait. Ooh, trashed up my line a little bit. But that's cool. That's a good start. We're gonna run the bikes to some more of these pockets. You know, this may be the silliest, simplest thing, but it took me a long time to figure this out. So when I tie line to line, I would peel off a big piece of line and cut it off. Now I just leave it on the leader. I don't know why I never did this before. And I'll show you the knot I tie. I don't know what it's called, but basically I take the lines and run them side by side, right? And then I loop the tag in around 5 times. 1, and there's a lot of cussings in this knot. It's a very technical knot. 4, and then 5. Then you grab the tag in and you pull it back up your main line, right? And then I cinch it a little bit, not real tight. And then I go the other side. I grab the other end of that tag line, which will be my main line this time, and I do the same thing. 5 loops. Somebody please tell me what this knot is called. Then I got my tag in again. I just pull it tight, wet it a little bit. Now I got 2 little knots there about 6 inches apart. Ready it up real good and pull it tight. And there should be no loopage or anything in there. Just give a little tiny tug on the tag ends, and that knot is really, really, really strong. Now you just cut the tag ends off as tight as you can cut them off. This is where it's handy to have really good scissors. Those are those little 6-cent scissors that are always sold out. I like these gloves, man. They haven't had these gloves in stock in forever, and I'd love to have a new pair. And then I peel off. I like a longer leader, probably 7 or 8 feet, and there's several reasons for that. I like my leader to be up in my reel when I cast, but also it gives me the ability that if I get a fish to scuff some line up, I don't have to cut my leader off. I can just cut some line off the bottom of my leader and retie my bait. So, and that's Seaguar Gold, and I'm throwing 6-pound line. I'm throwing really light line because this water's pretty clear down here. And then I'm doing something that on tournament day I would not do. So on tournament day I would not tie a Palomar on this light of line, but I'm gonna tie one today. So if I break a fish off in a minute, y'all can all laugh at me for tying a Palomar on light line. To me, you got to tie a different knot. You know what? I'll show you that knot versus the Palomar. So this is the knot I tie on light line. So just in and through, and then 4 or 5 loops around the line. So in my left hand, I'll hold the line and the loop. Hold that tag in, pull that loop out a little bit. And it looks like a mess because now I got 4 tag ends sticking out. Wet it up real good, pull it tight, And that's a really good taut knot. That's a terrible job tying it, but that's a good knot right there. Now you got 3 loops poking off. You just cut those 3 loops off. And for me, that's the best knot on really light line. So I re-rigged it. That's a 2.7-inch Divine swim bait. It's called a Ghost Pro Minna color. That's on a little tiny 1/4-ounce head. I use a little tiny head usually when I can get away with it, especially when it's calmer. I think it's a better presentation. And you guys know, oops, I'm bleeding. I just wiped blood on myself. Fish finned me under the fingernail. Well, that hurts. So if you use Ken Smith Fishing, if you go to 6 cents and use the code KEN10, there's 10% off, and that credits me, and I appreciate you when you guys do that for me. So let's go back to fishing. Well, it's about 20 after 12. It's 20 after 12 exactly. And I have caught 1 fish. And I gotta tell you, I've talked to 2 other guys bass fishing and 2 striper guides. And I'm tied for the lead. I just talked to a striper guide right here, and these guys are full time up here. And he said they fish from 7:30 till 11:30 today for 1 stripe. So water is 45 to 47 degrees. And he said his struggle right now is they're only finding bait right out in front of Eisenhower's. It's the only place on the lake you can find bait. And he said it's blacked out from 20 feet down, but there's no predators around it. So I'm gonna fish. I'm not fishing much longer. You know, those guys who said a bad day and a bad day on the water is better than a good day in the office or whatever, I disagree. I don't like coming out and not catching them. And I know you guys don't like watching the channel where nobody catches them, so I'm gonna hit 2 or 3 more places, and I'm gonna load it up and go home, put it on the trailer and go to south. So we'll go check out, I guess, 1, 2, maybe 3 more spots, and then we're gonna carry it to the house. Brown one. It's been a long time since I've caught smallmouth. But that'd be one right there. God, they're just so heavy. Look how beautiful that fish is. They're so chunky. Beautiful fish. Thank you, Lord. That's fun. Grab my little swimming bait. It's a pretty nice brown one too. Pretty nice brown one here, boys. No, it's a largemouth. I thought it was going to be a brown one. Come here, Chief. Let's put a hand on you. Open your mouth. There you go.
heavy, heavy fish. Oh, what he weighs, but he is heavy. So he's pushing 3.5. That little tiny baby. Just waiting for grins. Heavier than I thought. 401. 4 even. That's a big dollar fish and a sealy. 4-pounder. His own. Same bait. I thought I'd picked up the juggle, but it wasn't. The same little 2.7 6-cent swim bait. Divine swim bait. Okay, so thanks for staying tuned. This is bonus. Told you guys had a good Bigfoot story from our trip to New Mexico, and I do, and I'm gonna share that story with you in the next show, because I realized I've got a really good Bigfoot story for you from this part of the world. So the guy who told me this story has fished with me in some videos. He's very, very well known, very, very well respected. Extremely good fisherman, avid outdoor. And, well, I'll tell you the story. So, fished with him one day, and when I get somebody in the boat, almost without question, I'm going to ask them, do you believe in Bigfoot? That's just something I do. And you guys know, I want to believe, right? I find it almost impossible to imagine that we've not found remains or caught one on trail cam footage if they are out there. But hey, there's big parts of the world where there's nobody around. I mean, New Mexico is a great point. You can go miles and miles and miles and miles and miles in New Mexico and not see a house. Excuse me, my phone. All right, phone rang, sorry. So, Bigfoot story. So, again, this is a guy everybody in East Texas knows, very well respected, very well liked. So, we fished that day, one day, and I'd asked him, did he believe in Bigfoot? He said, no, of course, cameras on. So, after we get off the water, we actually go eat lunch. And he looks at me and he goes, all right, I'm going to tell you a story now that you don't have your camera on. He said, if you ever tell anybody I said this to you, I'm gonna call you a liar. I said, all right. So he said, this is over 50 years ago. And by the way, if you've never seen it, there is a Finding Bigfoot episode outside of Manny, Louisiana, and I've got another funny story about that too. But so this happened somewhere around Manny, somewhere around far western Louisiana, there around Toledo Bend. And he said when he was a young man, they used to do a lot of predator hunting. So basically, they'd get around a farmer's place at night, go out with 22 rifle or whatever and shotgun and do a distressed rabbit call. He said you sit there basically in the dark, you do the distressed rabbit call a few times, and then you stand up, flip your lights on, and you shoot whatever coming. He goes, bobcats, a lot of coyotes. He said just all kind of stuff comes in there. He said on this particular night, normally you do that around farms because the farmers want you to kill the predators around their chicken coops and around their animals and whatever. He said just one night they decided to go way back in the woods. He said they were way back in a patch of woods. He said none of them had ever really been in before. And he said they had gotten up under a great big elm tree. He said one of those you can't really reach around, oak tree, whatever. He said they did their calls, squatting down, and stood up, flipped their lights on. There was nothing. He said they turned their lights back off because you don't want to mess up your night vision. And he said they sat back down, and he said they're sitting there talking about where they're going to go next. And he said all of a sudden he could hear something running at them. And he said it was not running around stuff, it was running over stuff. He said it was knocking stuff down. And he said, I have heard every animal there is run.
And he goes, I can tell you for sure whatever this animal was on 2 feet. He said it was, the only way he could describe what it sounded like, he said it sounded like a big man running in milking boots. And he said it ran right past him. He said they felt the wind off of it. And he said he fumbling trying to get his light on, and by the time he got his light on, it had run by him and the bushes were shaking and it had knocked over little saplings and stuff and it was gone. And he said then the stink hit him, and he said it stunk to high heaven. And he said they were all teenagers. And he said it scared them all so bad. He goes, we never really talked about it, and we certainly never went back in that patch of woods again. So that's the first one. Second one, now I've got another one. I got a good one from New Mexico I'll share with y'all on the next show, but I'm gonna leave you with this last one. So I was in the 12-15 area on Toledo fishing one day, which again is right there off of, not far from Manny, Louisiana. It's pretty early one morning. I remember it was in March because I was fishing around them islands in there. And I heard way off in the distance some guy do a Bigfoot call. And I just chuckled to myself. About a half an hour later, I hear him again. He's getting closer. And I thought, shoot, he's going to chase one right over here to me. And third time, about 30, 40 minutes later, he did it again. And he was just on the other side of this island I was fishing. And I'm like, man, he done come out here in the water with me. And about that time, I heard something on the back side of this little point I was fishing hit the water and start swimming. And I'm like, did this dude just chase a Bigfoot out across here for me? And I wish this is back before I carried a camera everywhere I went. I wish I'd have had my camera with me, because I remember thinking, I know what this is, but I have got to run around the corner here just in case I'm going to get a Bigfoot video on my camera, on my phone, and run around the corner. Sure enough, it was two little does swimming across the lake there. But whatever that guy was, I'm pretty sure it wasn't a Bigfoot. I'm pretty sure it was a guy doing a Bigfoot call, but it gave me a very good chuckle that morning on Toledo Bend. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. And again, I got a really good Bigfoot story for y'all coming from Taos on our next episode. Should be on Thursday. Thanks, guys.